What is up, everybody? It is Jay here, and today I wanted to make a bit of a combination video of a year and a half on tea update and a video about stuff that I wish I knew before I had started tea, and that I hope you know from watching this video about tea. I don't regret being on tea. None of these things are things that would have stopped me from taking tea if I knew, but it's stuff that I would have liked to know before I started taking tea. And I think it's important for you to know them. And I think that these change from person to person, from circle to circle. There will be people in other circles who would have known this stuff, but I happened to not know it, and I think it's worth talking about. For the year and a half on tea update, since my year video on tea, which I will link to up here, or up here, wherever the fuck the link goes, that video just basically summarizes everything that happened from starting tea to being a year on tea. And basically from then, in the last 6 months, it's been just more of the same. Notable things would be that my facial hair is definitely a lot more significant recently than it has been in the past. I definitely need to shave once a week. I should probably shave more often than that, but I don't, because I like to grow out my facial hair between each shot. The other notable thing I think would be that my vocal range has started to expand again. Not in the sense that my voice is getting any deeper, but I sing, and I now have a lot more access to higher and lower notes than I did for about 6 months to a year of being on tea. I was very limited in what I could actually sing. I think those are the two most notable things. Other than that, everything else is just the same things keep happening. And the same things continue to happen. And that's true for everybody, because testosterone is a long-term thing, and people continue to get changes for years. Some changes that you get from testosterone can still continue to happen for up to 5 years after you've been on tea. And that kind of leads me into this part of the video where I wanted to talk about stuff that I want you to know before you start tea, or if you're thinking about starting tea, stuff that I think you should know now rather than finding out when you're on tea. And I'm going to go from the least consequential to the most, so that you have to stick around and watch till the end to find out what the biggest things are. So first and foremost is the sweat and the smell. I sweat so much now. I used to sweat very much at all, and I used to smell particularly at all, but now I sweat a lot and I smell a lot worse. Yeah, I don't really know if that's a testosterone thing or if it's a me thing or why that happens. I can't tell you, but it's gross. And when I say smell, I don't just mean the smell of your sweat. Your pee smell also changes, which is, again, another weird thing that I don't understand, but it happens, it happens. Number two, and this is something that I feel like a lot of people would know, but I think it's important to reiterate, that testosterone isn't magic. And I think that I made a bit of a faux pas in, while hearing this being said, not really taking it in, because, life goes on. Bad stuff will still happen. And yeah, you're probably going to be in a better place to deal with it, because the testosterone probably helps you to just feel better on a day-to-day basis. It probably just makes you feel better about your life overall. But problems will still happen. Number three would be mood. And this is something that people talk about a lot, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you get really angry on tea. And then a lot of people are like, well, that's not really true. And I would be on the side of that's not really true. For me, testosterone made me very, very calm. But I also think that testosterone may have made me too relaxed. It may have made me too calm. And I don't think I really noticed that. I think it made me too laid back in a lot of ways, because this massive stressor was taken out of my life, and I didn't comprehend that fact, and I didn't really take note of that. And I think it made me too laid back, and I think it made me lose sight of some stuff that does happen in life and things that do exist in my life. I think it made me simultaneously more and less caring, because I was too laid back to problems. I was too laid back to stuff that should have stressed me out, but I was a nicer person. I had a nicer personality because I was more cheerful on a day-to-day basis. I just think that with testosterone, it's not going to change you as a person, but that you need to just be aware of what's happening and how you feel. Being on testosterone does not make you immune to having normal life things happen, and I think you need to be aware of that. If you've started taking testosterone and you're experiencing something dramatically abnormal in terms of your moods, then you definitely need to talk to your doctor about that, because that's not a good thing, and that should not be happening. Next up is levels and doctors. So over the course of the year and a half that I've been on tea, only recently have my testosterone levels really become normal. Like, only within the last 6 months or so have my testosterone levels reached normal. And sometimes when you're talking to your doctors about hormones and stuff, you need to be your own advocate, because I did have to push to get my testosterone dose increased because my levels just were not high enough, and I used that as evidence, but I don't think they would have increased my dose otherwise. And I think that you have to make that clear when you're at a doctor's office, especially when it comes to being trans, because a lot of the time, at least in Ireland, the person you're dealing with is not a trans specialist. They just happen to be an endocrinologist who works with trans people. They do other things as well, and you need to advocate for your needs as best you can and educate yourself as best you can, because sometimes they actually don't know, or they're just not thinking of it. It's just not something necessarily on their horizon. Next is slow changes. So I've been on T for a year and a half, and in that time I think I only really started to see facial hair at about a year on T. That's when it became a real thing. In reality, it became something that other people could see, and it wasn't just me staring at my mirror for hours on end trying to find a hair, you know? And you need to be aware of that. Some of the changes are slow, and your changes will be different to mine in pace, you know? And I think that especially if you're in Ireland, I know that a lot of people in Ireland have experienced slower changes than people in, let's say, America. In America, the doses are different, doctors are different, they're using different systems, and people's changes seem to come faster in other places. They're not at the same rate. And that you should be aware of that everybody's changes come at a different pace, and different changes may come really quickly, and some may not come until a year on T, 2 years on T. Stuff takes time. And I really think you should be aware of that, and that you have to have patience. Last but not least, the biggest thing that I wish I had known before I started T, because it really bothered me about T. It's one thing that really was hard for me to comprehend, hard for me to deal with in terms of T, and that was that some changes just never happen. Some stuff just won't happen to you, and that's okay. Testosterone is like anything else. Every person takes to testosterone differently. I took testosterone differently than the next guy, and for me that meant I experienced no genital growth at all. And that really shocked me. That really took me aback, because everybody that I knew, everybody who I had ever seen on YouTube, on Tumblr, had always said that was the first thing they noticed, and that was immediate, and that was painful, and it was dramatic, and that it was a big deal. And nothing happened to me. Nothing at all. And I definitely wanted that to happen, and it didn't. And I have to make my peace with that. That is just how it is for me. Maybe it'll happen someday. Maybe it's just a really fucking slow change. But right now, it looks like it's not going to happen at all. And I think that people need to be aware of that. Some stuff just doesn't happen to some people, because it's just not in your genes. It's just not in your body. It's just not how your body takes to testosterone. And you need to be aware of that and okay with that. I'm happy with what testosterone has done to me. I'm happier as a person with testosterone in my body, and I enjoy my life so much more. But that you have to remember that there's still stuff, you know? Your life still happens. You still have to take care of yourself. Not everything that other people experience on T will happen to you. Other people's timelines of testosterone are not going to be the same as yours, you know? And that's okay. That's just the nature of the beast here. That's just what testosterone is like. Take care of yourself. If you're going to start T, if you're thinking about starting T, be aware of every possible outcome. Be aware of every possible situation that could arise from that, because you need to think about those things. It's a big thing to do, and if you're worried, you're better knowing, and you're better finding out all this kind of information beforehand rather than afterwards. Don't just look at my YouTube channel. Don't just look at my testosterone timeline. Look at other people's. Look at people from Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, fucking the US, Canada, other countries. You know, look at as many sources as you can. Find as much information as you can, because this list that I have here is nowhere near comprehensive of stuff that you should know. And this is only stuff that I didn't know. So there's plenty more to find out, and there's plenty more to think about before you decide to start tea. But if tea is right for you and you decide to start tea, I think it is one of the best decisions that I've made in my life, and I think it's one of the biggest things that has changed my life the most out of everything that's ever happened. Being on tea is one of the biggest life changers I've ever had, and I am going to be thankful for it for years to come. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please do leave a like button down below. I will link up here somewhere to the playlist that I have of my testosterone updates, so that you can look at all of them and see all of the changes as they come to me and see me change. And yeah, just thanks for watching. The comment section is open for any questions you have, and I'll see you next time.